recently started my first Krastorio 2 space exploration playthrough, and I came across this concept of a assembly mall, except it utilizes these warehouses from, I believe it's AAI Industries. Now, the only blueprints I could find from this, because I'm not too in tune with circuitry, so I looked online. The only blueprints I could find were outdated by a couple of years. So as far as I'm aware, the most recent update for space exploration was the zero point 0.7 version, with zero point 0.8 coming out in a couple months, from what I've read. And this version runs on 2.0 plus Factorio version. So this allows for new tech within the combinators. You can see that we can add way more sections here. I think the limit previously was 5. So I couldn't find an appropriate blueprint for this, so I decided to find a video, and let me just pull it up here for a second. I did create this, but it's a recreation. I did not create it myself, so I don't take credit for this, but I do take credit for updating it for the version, and it was a bit of a headache because, like I said, I'm not fully aware of all the intricacies of circuitry and whatnot, but I will link in the description the channel of Kevin Smith. He created the original blueprint, and I used that as inspiration to update this. So I just wanted to do a quick overview of how this works, and show you how to make it work in case anybody wants to use this, because I think this is probably one of the best things you can build in early to mid game. I haven't actually implemented it in my world yet because I'm practically in the Stone Age, but I'm planning on implementing this as fast as I can because it would eliminate probably hours worth of spaghettiing belts into assemblers, because the crafting recipes for a lot of these simpler items in vanilla Factorio or even modded tend to be quite complicated with even the basic products. So we'll get into it. You can see we have our warehouses here. You can pretend that these are separated into blocks of 1, and each block connects to the previous block, and there's 2 assemblers on each block. So within each block area here, you can pick 4 types of items you want to assemble. Now you can see there's some items in here. For simplicity, I'm going to take them out. This right here is the input. This section right here. So if you were to remove these, you can pretend that you have belts with raw resources coming in here like this. And you'll have, let's say, iron, stone, copper, glass, whatever you want to get in there. So we can replicate that. And we will set filters with these chests here. So this will be iron plates, and we'll just do some very basic resources here for a second. Copper, we'll add stone, we'll add stone bricks. I think that's okay for now. So we'll copy this, and these will be our inputs. Obviously, we wouldn't be inputting all 4 on one belt, but for simplicity and speed, I'm going to set each infinity chest to allow to import each 4 of the items. In practicality, you would have 1 belt for iron, 1 belt for copper. I'm going to dumb this down as simple as possible. To preface that, I want to say that it makes it a lot easier for me to understand it. So I like to explain everything in details because I spent too much time trying to figure out how this works. So I'm going to explain it at the very bare bones to help anybody who's not familiar with any of the circuitry or any of these intricacies. And I want to try and help you learn so you can implement these concepts into your future playthrough, which will just make it easier in the long run. Because I have a feeling if this is being incentivized in the early game, it's going to get a hell of a lot more complicated in the late game. So let's move on. You take your items and you want them to be in this chest, or this warehouse, sorry, in order to be available to this crafting here. So let's take very base items. Let's say Here we want to create gears, and we're probably going to need a lot of them because you can daisy chain this all the way up. I could simply just copy this and go boom, 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 and make it 20 long if I want to. It's very modular. All you have to do is connect the wires. I'll show that after. Let's say you just want iron gears and you want wires. These are two very common things you want. You're going to need the inputs for these items. So with this constant combinator right here, you can see the description. I have set descriptions for every single combinator used. So you can click on it and you can simply read the description and it'll tell you exactly what it's used for. To get the items into this warehouse, in order to fulfill the requests of the assemblers, you simply need to set a desired amount for the crafting ingredients. So that's going to be copper. And you can set this to any number you want. If you want 1, you see that? It simply puts 1 in. Now, the thing is, there's stack sizes and there's 6 inserters. So you're going to have a little bit of overflow. I haven't quite figured out how to change this. I'm sure there's a way. I'm not going to spend who knows how long trying to figure it out. But if you have even a signal of 1, it relays it around to this configuration here. Anyways, I'll explain this. But the point is, the signal is so quick, it gets set to all 6 of these inserters. So you get 6 inserted at once. If there was just, let's say, 1 of these inserting just iron, let's say you had a belt of iron, it would insert 1. So the only reason why it's doing that is because we have all 6 inserters allowing iron to go through. But let's say we wanted 100. You can see the filters will now be set on the initial inserters, and this will fill up to 100. Again, it's going to go a little bit overflow because of what I just explained. That's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not going to change the functionality of it. These things are massive, so you can afford to have a bit of overflow. It's not that big of a deal. All you need to know is it's taking the signal from the constant combinator, it's inverting it, it's then relaying it from the warehouse, and it's putting it into this decider combinator. And you can see within this decider combinator, the input is each whatever signal, and as long as it is less than 0, it outputs the number of each, but only a single. And why it does that is because it's simply going to then go into this arithmetic combinator and then set the filters. So all you need to know the functionality. I probably explained that poorly, and I think this might be a redundancy now that I look at it. But it works, so I don't care. The point is you set whatever you want inside here. It goes through the arithmetic combinator. It relays from the arithmetic combinator to the warehouse, over to the decider combinator, through the arithmetic combinator, and then it sets the filter. That's the only thing that matters. And I'll show it again here. You want 100 copper inside. You simply set it in the constant combinator, and then it sets the request. It relays it around, and it sets the filter. Look. You have 100 copper plates plus the overflow because of the 6 inserters. So now in practice, you're going to have your items set here. And these are the inputs. The 2 inserters on the middle are the inputs for each respective assembler. So you're simply wanting to set the filter to the ingredient. Now I have a mod that allows it to read the contents of the assembler it's attached to and quickly suggest which one you want to filter. That's great. But before we set that, we want to set the output of the assembler or the input to the warehouse so we don't have any overflow. Now, by default, this is set to the stack size and it disables when there's a full stack of the desired item. You can set it to whatever you want, but for this instance, we're going to set the filter. I simply press Q on the pipette tool. Again, this is a mod, and I can simply just set the filter to gears. Now, once the gear filter is set, we also set the circuit condition to gears, and the stack size is 100. So you simply set this to 100. Now, this is configured correctly. Again, copy and paste to the other side, and then we can simply set the input. Now, this is automatically going to start crafting gears to the desired amount we want, and it's going to stop when we hit said desired amount. And I'm going to let this go. You can see it's inserting the iron appropriately as it's required. It's always maintaining around 100. There's a bit of overflow. Once again, I keep repeating that. Don't worry about that. It's not a big deal. And you can see it crafts 100 iron gear wheels. And that's it. It's as simple as that. Now you have these items here and you're wondering what you can do with them. You can go to then shift up the assembly line and we can see what's used. Let's say we want to make electric poles. Well, to make electric poles, we need sticks. And we'll probably need a lot of sticks. So we'll do the exact same thing at the upper part. Again, you want to set the input filters and the output filters. And this is going to be a stack size of 100 again, because that's what they stack to. Now, iron sticks are going to be crafted here. Now, you see the problem. We have iron here. It's coming from our source down here, but we can't get it in here. All you have to do is go to the next constant combinator. It's the same, right? This one requests items for this one. And so all you're going to have to do is take this one and request the same thing for whatever desired product you need. We will set that to 100. Now you will see it will pass it up, but it will also maintain the value within the first one. And this is creating a chain, and now it's crafting iron sticks. And you can see it's going to create up to 100 iron sticks, and then it'll stop while maintaining the total value of whatever was requested in the previous one. Now it's done. Now we have 100 sticks. Okay. We have 100 sticks. We want to make, what do we want to make? We want to make small iron electric poles. Again, you just continue the same thing. Now, we probably don't need a lot of these. You can see it needs copper cables. That's interesting. How do we get copper cables from our source down here into here? Well, it's the exact same premise. You use this constant combinator here to pass the signal up, and it'll relay the items. You can see these aren't set up. Let's set them up. We are making copper wires. They stack to 200. We are taking this signal. We're repeating it over here. Copy and paste. We're taking the input and filtering it. We are now crafting iron cables. Or sorry, copper wires. Copper cables. I'm all over the place. My brain is mush trying to explain this and understand it at the same time. But hopefully you're following along. I'm trying to be as very intricate as possible. I may not be explaining it the best way as possible, but I'm going to go into a lot of detail about it, and I'm going to show the very basic ideas of it, as well as very intermediate concepts of when you get down crafting lines. So you can see we're making the copper cables, and it's going to make up to 200 because that was how much we requested. Again, it's maintaining all the values that we set here. Now you can see, it's going to stop right now. We have 200 copper cables on the dot. Now we need the sticks, and we need the copper cables. We have the sticks. We already went over that. We need the copper cables. All you have to do is set it in the constant combinator. Any ingredient you need in your block, you set it at the constant combinator below. It's as simple as that. So we take copper cables, and we want one stack. That didn't work. We want one stack. It'll pass them along, and it'll continue crafting them down here. Now you can see we have copper cables, we have iron sticks, the two very things that we need to craft small iron electric poles. We set the filters. The stack size is 50. We set the stack size. We set the inputs, which are iron sticks and copper cables. It will input those, and it'll craft exactly what we need. Now it's going to be a little slow because we only have fast inserters, but again, this is a very organized way. I would say the trade-off from being very modular and organized is worth the input deficiencies that you may run across. Now, actually, as I explain this, I noticed there is room. There's room for 4 more inserters. So we can actually, if you wanted to, you can place 4 more inserters with the ingredients and double the throughput of materials. For simplicity, we're going to ignore that concept, and we're just going to highlight the fact that we have small iron electric poles being crafted automatically simply from the input of here and the intermediary materials being crafted below it. You can daisy chain this thing as far as you want. If you want to add more, you can simply copy down to the electric poles and paste. Just like that, we've added another one. The problem is, this is not connected. In order to connect it, we want to take one red wire to the decider combinator on the right side and attach it to the warehouse. You're then going to want to take a green wire from the previous warehouse and attach it to the input signal of the decider combinator on the left side. And that's it. The entire thing is linked up now. On the right side here, I'm going to explain this because I think it's necessary in understanding how things work if you're going to use them, so you can troubleshoot them if you want to change it, or if for some reason they stop working. This function here is simply used to pass along the signal of this constant combinator. So this feature right here is so you can allow the user to set whatever desired result in the block that you want. A lot of iterations, again, this is explained by Kevin in his video. I'm simply just relaying this information. He designed this entire thing, so shout out to him. He did a fantastic job on it, and he did a good job at explaining it too, to the point where his blueprint link in the description didn't work, so I simply followed the video and tinkered around a bit and figured it out. It took a little while, but it works. And I like this implementation because he showed 2 iterations of it. One where you had to set the request to the previous one to every single constant combinator, and you would have lists so long of items that you'd have to continuously relay up. With this, all you have to do is set it up here. An example of that would be, let's say you want to make medium electric poles. You can see electric poles, they take small iron electric poles, but they're crafted down here. In different iterations, you would have to set the value to each one of these combinators. But this, you can skip this constant combinator here, and let's say I just want 50 iron electric poles. It'll relay the signal, and it'll bounce through all of these and come down to the source, and it'll send them up. You can see it's skipping this entirely, because we're not requesting them here. We're requesting them up here. And you can see this will hit 50 and it'll stop. Just like that. And it'll continue crafting them here until it's up to a full stack size of 50. That is the entire purpose of this whole right side. It's as easy as requesting items you want in each of their blocks. And it fulfills that request. I cannot type. You want 100 iron. You want 100 copper. You want 50 small iron electric poles. You get it. All you do is set it. That's it. That's the entire purpose of this combination here. It is simply relaying the request down in a daisy chain to the source. And it is skipping whatever is not relevant and sending it directly to the desired location. This can go as far as you'd like, and it works the exact same way. Over here, this is simply to set the filters of the inserters. This whole combination here, again, we're taking the signal from the constant combinator, we're relaying it to an arithmetic combinator, and this is turning it into a negative sum. This is then relayed from the arithmetic combinator to the warehouse. And so this stores the contents and it is storing the red signal, but also relaying it over to the decider combinator. Whatever signal is less than 0, i.e. any negative number, it is turned into the same signal of 1. So you can see copper is being sent. It is reading it. And if this was a negative number, let's say there's no copper in here, it is reading a negative number. It outputs one singular value of the item. With that one singular value, it then sends it to an arithmetic combinator, which is adding -1, and it is outputting the signal of each. Now, the reason why this is configured this way is because in order to get items here, you need the item here. You can't magically pull items from this one to this one. So it has to validate the contents of the previous warehouse. It has to value the contents of the previous warehouse in order to validate the request and set the filter to these inserters to then pass it on. It cannot pass on copper from, the third warehouse to the fourth warehouse if there simply is no copper in the third warehouse to begin with. You're going to say, that's really stupid because it's so obvious. You can't take nothing, or you can't take something from nothing. Well, yeah, but I'm trying to dumb it down as simple as possible. So what this feature is doing here in the combination of combinators, combinating the combination of combinated numbers, I'm going to say combinating and combination a million times in this video, but what it's doing is it's comparing the desired result here, it's turning it into a signal, and if the signal here added to this signal is a negative number, it won't set the filter. But if it is a positive number coming out of this signal, you can see the input signal is 1, but we're adding -1. So there is no signal outputting at all. But if we change it here, you can see there is a signal from here, and there is a signal from here, and they are combining to output a signal. And you can see on the right side here, it is outputting a signal of 1. This will set the filter for these inserters. This again is daisy chained all the way down. Okay. I think I've done a good enough job at explaining this. I will go through one more example of a product that may have multiple intermediaries that you need to craft. So you can see how early I am in my playthrough by simply taking a look at the amount of things that I have available to craft, which is next to none. Let's see if we can find something here. Can we craft all of this? Sure. We're going to craft a burner assembler up here, and you're going to say that takes 4 products. Okay. Well, we only have one of those at the moment. But in order to craft this, we'll start off with what we do have. We have gears. So we set a stack of gears, and we have gears coming in. Now we have to configure this appropriately. So we take one stack of assembling machine 1s. We set the stack size in the circuit condition. We set the filter. And now this is outputting the contents of the assembling machine into the warehouse. We need the contents inputted. So we need gears, we need beams, we need motors, and we need burners. So gears, beams, assemblers, and motors. We have one of the 3 products, but we have a lot of space here. So let's continue crafting all the items we need. We need iron beams. Let's make iron beams down here. It's as simple as that. And we need to set these requests and filters appropriately. These stack to 100. We're going to set the stack size to 100. It takes iron, so we're going to set the filter of the input from the warehouse to the assembly machine to iron. And it's going to craft iron. And you're going to say, we got to get that all the way up here. We don't have it. So again, you just set the filter in the constant combinator. Iron beams. we want 1 stack sent all the way up. It is going to relay it all the way up. You can see there's some flaws to this. We do have excess sitting in here. Again, it's just the way these function while passing on. It's not the end of the world. I'm sure somebody smarter than me can probably figure out a way to iron it out. These have such a large space in it that you're really just never going to run into any issues at all. So, again, we have 2 of the 4 products required for an assembly machine 1. We need burner assembly machines. These take automation cores, stone bricks, and iron. Well, we have stone bricks coming in, so we need to craft automation cores. We're going to craft them right here. Now it takes gears, sticks, and copper plates. We have all these things. So we're going to set these appropriately. Stack size to 50. And it's gears, sticks, and iron plate or copper plates. We need to get those products here. So we need gears. 1 stack. We need sticks. 1 stack. And we need copper plates. 1 stack. Now we are going to get all these requested items here, and we will begin. Oh, I set the wrong thing. This is just supposed to be copper, not copper wires. And you can see we're creating automation cores. We need the automation cores to craft the burner assemblies. So we're going to craft burner assemblies here. And it's the same thing. You just continuously set all these filters. The inputs for this are 3 products: stone, iron, and automation cores. All 3 of those are set, and it will begin crafting the burner assemblers. We need burner assemblers up here, so we're going to request them. Goodness, I can't type. And they stack to 50, so we're going to request 50 up there, and they will be passed along. Maybe. Why is this? Oh, duh. We don't have stone bricks and iron, so we need stone bricks. Maybe they stack to 100, and we need iron plates. And that'll pass those all the way up, and now we have the contents required to craft these, and you can see one was just crafted. It'll be placed into here, and it'll appropriately be passed on. Now we need small electric motors. These are very easy too, and you can see we have space here, so we're going to create. My keyboard is under my desk. I cannot see my keyboard. That is my excuse to why I type so poorly, especially when I'm staring at my screen and talking and multitasking. I don't record voiceovers very often, so not that I care, but that's why I can't type, and you probably don't care either. You can see this is exactly what is required. We are setting the output filter as well as the stack size. I'm just reinforcing this for both you and me, so we both know how to work on this properly without screwing anything up. It's a process. It seems a little tedious. I promise you this takes so much less time than setting up spaghetti. I'd be here for 5 hours doing spaghetti to craft this. So we need gears, copper cable, iron plates. Gears, copper cable, not copper, copper cable, iron plates. Are we missing anything? We're missing copper cables. So we're missing copper cables. You set the filter, at the combinator of the warehouse. We now have copper cables being inserted. You can see this thing is just cooking now. We're creating small electric motors. Where are they going? They're just being stored in here, but we need them up in this one. So we simply request 1 stack. And at the end of all that, we are now automatically creating assembling machine 1s with simply just inputting the base ingredients here. I have no clue what is happening here. Okay, I think I've configured this correctly now. I think what was occurring was the output from, or the input from this combinator, the signal was being carried and daisied all the way down to over here. This one diverges a bit from these ones because this is simply for the functionality of the initial insertion of items. And the problem was it was carrying the signal on the same wire as the original one. So they were merging the signal. Whereas we want to kind of isolate this section from all of these. So now we just have the constant combinator of our initial desired items of the input of the first warehouse. It's then inverting the signal, sending it to the warehouse, but also reading the contents of the warehouse and taking the same signal and putting it in the decider combinator. And it's outputting a signal of 1 through the arithmetic combinator. The point is, if it needs an item, it'll request it appropriately. I have updated that. All you have to do is take the red wire from the arithmetic combinator to the warehouse and replace it with the green wire, as well as the red wire from the warehouse to the decider combinator. Also, from red to green, replace it with a green wire. And everything should be good. You can see we have exactly what we want. Everything's being crafted. It's perfect. You can daisy chain this all the way up to extremely complex products, as long as you craft the intermediary ingredients prior. It's as simple as that. You don't need to touch any of the combinators. All you have to do is set the desired contents of the warehouse in the constant combinator right below each block of warehouses. Again, you can copy and paste, and all you have to do is connect the output of the decider combinator to the warehouse and take a green wire from this decider combinator and connect it to the warehouse. And everything is connected. Just like that. Easy peasy. Very modular. You can add as many as you'd like. I would suggest you guys go check out the original video by Kevin. Again, I have linked his channel and the video in the comments below, in the description as well. Shout out to Kevin. He did a great job at designing this. He did a great job at explaining it. I take no credit for this once again. This all goes to Kevin. I simply recreated it with my limited brain knowledge. My brain is turning into mashed potatoes, currently trying to explain this and get it going, but I think I figured it out to the point where I can kind of explain it to other people. If I didn't do a good job, again, Kevin probably did a better job. I showed you how it works. He probably does a better job at explaining it. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching the video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, criticism, whatever it may be, feel free to just leave a comment down there and I'll try and get back to it. Again, that's about it. Thank you guys. Enjoy and go check out Kevin's channel as well. See ya.